The privacy case Prince Harry just lost against the Daily Mail has hit him harder than anyone has been assuming, and this claim comes straight from a source that is well placed within the Duke's circle. For those unversed with the case in question, it is a privacy and phone hacking suit that Prince Harry brought against the Associated newspapers because of allegations that they hacked his phone in his early days. Now the source in question warns, the woes at home are reaching a record high because he, and about 6 other big Hollywood names like Elton John, Doreen Lawrence face a £50 million legal bill. According to Closer, the per-hour fees have even reached £350 to £5,000. It said his emotions are running a mile a minute, so much so that even the high of managing to get a meeting with his father at Highgrove has not been able to ease the brutal blow he's feeling at the moment. The source explains this turmoil in their own words and has been quoted saying, "Harry's putting on a brave face, but privately this has been a brutal blow because the financial hit may end up being worse than anyone expected." It is also pertinent to mention that his personal legal bill is yet to be decided on by a judge, but it could be upwards of $25 million between things like defendant costs and other bills. According to the outlet, another thing they revealed about conversations behind the scenes is that Harry is being very defiant about all this and saying the numbers are all being exaggerated to try and intimidate him and make this look like an even bigger loss. But the fact is he did lose the case and by law will have to pay up. If he does end up on the hook for this much, or more, the source made it clear that the areas where things would have to be cut include things like Meghan's ever expansion as well as their plan to buy more property. Something has gone very quiet around Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand, and the silence is deafening. As ever was supposed to be her great American reinvention, the business venture that would prove she never needed the royal family at all. But sources close to the couple are now suggesting that the man standing between Meghan and her entrepreneurial ambitions might not be a boardroom rival or a hostile press. It might be Harry. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the moment Meghan Markle decided that her identity could not be contained by a title. When she and Harry stepped back from royal duties in early 2020, the narrative they sold to the world was one of liberation, of two people choosing authenticity over institution. Harry, by most accounts, was entirely on board. He was the one who had spent decades chafing against palace protocol, against the suffocating machinery of royal life. Meghan simply gave that restlessness a destination. The couple settled in Montecito, California, and almost immediately began building what can only be described as a brand architecture. There were the Netflix deals, the Spotify podcast, the memoir that shook the monarchy to its foundations. And then, more quietly but perhaps more ambitiously, came as ever Meghan's lifestyle brand. The name itself was revealing, a phrase she had used in personal correspondence before her royal life, a signal that this was meant to feel authentic, rooted, personal, as ever launched with considerable fanfare. The products, which included jams, honeys, and herbal teas, sold out almost immediately. The aesthetic was immaculate, all warm California light and farmhouse domesticity. Reports suggested Meghan had been planning this for years, that it was the project closest to her heart, the one she intended to build into something genuinely lasting. Industry observers compared her positioning to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, and not unfavorably. Here finally seemed to be the platform that would let Meghan define herself entirely on her own terms. But building a lifestyle brand at scale requires one thing above almost everything else: stability, consistency, the ability to show up in the same place with the same message month after month. And that is precisely where the trouble appears to have started, because Harry has not been stable. And sources familiar with the couple's situation suggest that his increasingly unpredictable public behavior and his ongoing, very public war with the British establishment has begun to create serious complications for everything Meghan is trying to build. The tension here is genuinely fascinating when you look at it closely. Meghan's brand depends on a very specific image: warmth, aspiration, calm domesticity. As ever is selling a lifestyle, and lifestyles require a backdrop of tranquility. Every time Harry gives an interview in which he relitigates royal grievances, every time he makes headlines for pursuing legal battles against British tabloids or makes pointed comments about the royal family, that backdrop shudders. The conversation shifts from Meghan's raspberry jam to whatever Harry has just said about his father or his brother or the institution he left behind. Palace insiders have long observed that the Sussex brand has a fundamental internal contradiction. Harry and Meghan left royal life in part to escape the spotlight of royal drama. But Harry in particular has proven constitutionally unable to disengage from that drama. The legal battles alone, his cases against British newspapers, his lawsuit against the Home Office over security arrangements, have kept him tethered to the very world he claimed to be leaving. And each new development pulls Meghan's carefully curated American narrative back across the Atlantic. People who follow the lifestyle brand space closely will tell you that what Meghan is attempting requires something quite specific from her partner. Not a passive background role exactly, but a complementary one. An absence of chaos. Reports suggest that potential retail partners and investors in As Ever have raised questions, not necessarily in public, but in rooms where decisions are made about the unpredictability that surrounds the Sussex name. When your brand is about peaceful domesticity and your husband is in active legal combat with the British state, there is a dissonance that is difficult to ignore. And then came the moment that changed the conversation entirely. Earlier this year, Harry made the decision to return to the United Kingdom for his court proceedings in a manner that was, to put it mildly, startling in its emotional intensity. The images of him arriving, the testimony he gave, the raw and at times barely controlled emotion on display, these were not the images of a man who had found peace in Montecito. They were the images of someone still very much in the grip of old wounds. And the coverage was enormous, inescapable, wall-to-wall in a way that completely drowned out anything happening on the As Ever front. Sources indicate that within the brand there was genuine frustration. A product launch that had been carefully timed, a new collaboration that was meant to generate significant press attention, found itself buried under the avalanche of Harry-related coverage. The timing was not malicious on Harry's part, of course, but in the business of brand building, intent is almost irrelevant. What matters is attention, and attention was elsewhere. There were also reports, which emerged gradually through royal correspondence and lifestyle industry sources, that Meghan had been in conversations with several significant American retailers about expanding the As Ever product line. These were serious discussions, the kind that could genuinely elevate the brand from a promising boutique operation to something with real commercial scale. And according to accounts from people familiar with those negotiations, some of those conversations cooled. Not collapsed entirely, but slowed in a way that suggested hesitation on the other side of the table. The aftermath of all this has played out in ways that are both very public and very private. Publicly, Meghan has continued to show up for As Ever with her characteristic discipline. She appears in content, she talks about her products with evident genuine enthusiasm, and she has not, at any point, broken from the carefully maintained image of someone building something beautiful and sustainable. Whatever frustrations exist, they are not visible on the surface. But sources suggest that behind the scenes, there have been real conversations about how the couple's public activities need to be coordinated more carefully. The idea that Harry's legal battles and his royal family grievances can simply exist in a separate lane from Meghan's business interests has proved to be somewhat naive. Everything the Sussexes do reflects on both of them, whether they intend it or not. Their identities in the public imagination are inseparable. There is also the question of emotional bandwidth. Running a growing brand is genuinely demanding work, and sources close to Meghan have suggested that supporting Harry through what has been an extraordinarily difficult period personally has required significant energy. The legal battles are not just logistical challenges. They are emotionally consuming, and they take place against a backdrop of what Harry himself has described as profound grief and injury relating to his family. Being a supportive partner in that context is real work, and it inevitably competes with the focus required to build something like As Ever. What this all means in the longer view is something worth sitting with. Meghan Markle came to America with genuine talent, genuine ambition, and a very clear vision of what she wanted to build. As Ever is not a vanity project. It is a serious attempt to create something lasting, and there is real evidence that under the right conditions it could succeed. The initial sellouts, the quality of the product presentation, the clarity of the brand aesthetic, these are not the hallmarks of someone going through the motions. But the Sussex story has always had this peculiar quality of undercutting itself at the moments it most needs coherence. Harry's inability, or perhaps unwillingness, to step back from his battles with the establishment is entirely understandable on a human level. These are genuine injuries, and he has every right to pursue justice in the courts. But the consequences for Meghan's brand are real, and they raise a question that no one in the Sussex orbit seems to have answered convincingly. Can Meghan build the calm, aspirational domestic empire she is clearly aiming for while Harry remains in active, very public conflict with one of the most media-saturated institutions on the planet? Can you sell the idea of a peaceful, abundant life when the headlines attached to your name are anything but peaceful? I would genuinely love to know what you think. Is this a temporary disruption that Meghan will navigate her way through, or is there something more fundamental here about the tension at the heart of the Sussex project? Leave your thoughts below, and if you found this useful, sharing it genuinely helps this channel keep doing this kind of in-depth coverage. We will be back with more very soon.